All right, so thank you so much for joining again. And tonight we're going to pick up with part two, the mother of all diseases. And we already talked about free radicals. We talked about oxidative stress as well. So here it is right here. Inductors of ROS. Now, when you see ROS, it's always related. Now, ROS, by the way, is reactive oxygen species. Reactive oxygen species. So we already know that we breathe in O2. And I don't think I went over this last Monday, but so you have element, right? You have an element and an element. You put those two elements together. So if you have an oxygen molecule and an oxygen molecule, or an oxygen element and an oxygen element, you put them two together, they become a compound because two become one, and now they become a compound. If you take a little small bit of that compound, you have a molecule. So if you break apart that compound, you have a molecule. However, if you take one element and you break apart that element, you have an atom. So that's the difference. An atom is just part of an element, where a molecule is part of a compound, which are two elements put together. So we breathe in O2. So ROS, reactive oxygen species, okay? Why is it so reactive? Because as it goes in, it wants to tear away and destroy your cell wall. And what is your cell wall composed of? Fatty acids. And we're going to look at that a little bit more clear this evening. So inductors of ROS, as it says right here, pollution, radiation, that right there alone, you have two types of radiation. You have ionizing and non-ionizing radiation. So the word ionizing comes from ions, all right? So we're going to look at that in a little bit more detail next time. Processed food, UV light, heavy metals, viruses, metabolism, and of course, smoking. So these are the inductors of ROS. And then, of course, right here, oxidative stress. So we already know that oxidative stress is when you have imbalance between free radicals in your body and antioxidants in your body. Your body is going to develop free radicals naturally. That's why your body, fearfully and wonderfully made, it's a beautiful thing. This body of ours, this wonderful tool, it also produces in our cells, it also produces antioxidants. And what is that one main antioxidant that the cells produce? It's called glutathione. However, because we are under so much ROS with the pollution, we're around people that smoke. Secondhand smoke is worse because it doesn't have a filter like it does on the actual cigarette. So radiation, we're around radiation every single day. Processed foods, UV light, heavy metals, even the water that you drink. So if you get a bottled water and it says like enhanced with flavor minerals, those are metals. We don't want, but try your best to look at the wording and do away with it. And that's why the best water that you can drink is distilled water. The most pure water is distilled water. And everybody's going to say, well, you shouldn't drink distilled water because you're not going to get your salt and some of your minerals. That's true. But because we're going to be eating the unprocessed foods and the dark leafy greens and vegetables and fruits, that's where we're going to replenish what we don't get from the distilled water. So right here, guys, you have ROS, oxidative stress, lipid peroxidation. That's where we want to go this evening. What is lipid peroxidation? Lipid means fat, all right? It's just a technical jargon for fat. We already looked at this before, normal cell, and then cell attacked by free radicals. And as you see, so you see all of these little dots right here. So let's say those are the molecules that broke down into single atoms. And then when those single atoms entered near those walls, it started to destroy the cell structure by taking away electrons. And now, as it's taking away and destroying the cell wall, it's entering into the cell, and all of that oxidation is destroying the mitochondria and the ATP, the adenosine triphosphate. Now those cells do not have the ability to metabolize anything, glucose, water, it doesn't matter what it is. And now it's going to have a cluster of destroyed cells going throughout the body. So apoptosis right here is where it's a natural occurrence. Cells die every day, but those cells that die naturally, they don't cause inflammation, whereas necrosis, they cause inflammation throughout your system. Now, inflammation can be a good thing, and it can also be a bad thing. So look at this. How are we going to get rid of those antioxidants? Antioxidants and enzymatic antioxidants, flavonoids, and where are we going to get those? Leafy greens, okay? Fruits. Flavonoids go along with the phytochemicals like lycopene, isoflavins, beta carotene. All of these are phytochemicals, which are wonderful nutrients that you're going to get from the unprocessed foods. And by the way, so if you have a big salad, what I do myself, and what I would encourage you to do is I like to sprinkle. So I try to hold certain nuts. If you're going to eat certain nuts throughout the day, try to reserve them until like your big salad. I like to put the nuts on the salad. The reason I like to put the nuts on the salad is because as I'm eating the salad, the nuts is going to act as a fat, of course, and therefore when I'm eating the salad with the nuts, the fat soluble vitamins that I'm going to receive from the actual nuts, because there's so much fat, is going to allow me to absorb those wonderful phytochemicals that I'm getting while I'm eating the salad. So that's why I always try to reserve the nuts until at night while I'm eating my big salad. And there's a reason why I eat the big salad at night, okay? So let's look at this right here. Let's look at this. So we're going to be looking at lipid peroxidation, okay? Of course, protein damage and DNA damage. So we're looking at lipid peroxidation, and let's go down to right here. So last time we talked about vitamin C, and we looked at the different sources of vitamin C, how we're going to try to neutralize the free radicals before they actually hit the cell wall of your cells. Vitamin C is water soluble, so you can actually neutralize it by eating enough vitamin C, getting that vitamin C every single day, because your body does not store it because it's water soluble. And how does it dispense from the body? Through our stool, through breathing, urine, and sweat. So therefore, it's water soluble. We need to get it in every single day. So as we eat the vitamin C and all these wonderful foods, especially if you're having your lemon water in the morning, raspberries, you're making your smoothies, you're putting all these wonderful blackberries, blueberries, raspberries, wonderful source of antioxidants, all in one clump right there in your smoothies, whenever you eat your smoothies. And if you are going to eat a smoothie, just chew it. Get in the process of kind of chewing. So sometimes sprinkle something on your smoothie that's going to allow you to not just gulp it down, but to actually chew the smoothie. And of course, you can always put spinach in your smoothies as well if you don't have any allergens or any allergics, any issues with putting in spinach. So look at this. So we already said, so water soluble is vitamin C, but now we're going to look at a fat soluble vitamin that we're going to put into our system that's going to help fight off free radicals, especially before it gets to your walls, okay? And here it is right here, vitamin E. Vitamin E is a fat-soluble vitamin, and look what it does. Look at the beautiful benefits. Protects cell membranes and tissues from damage by oxidation. So now we're getting a little bit understanding about, if I see oxidation, I'm thinking oxidative stress. Now we're understanding the terminology that's out there. We're just going to break it down where elementary terms. Aids in the formation of red blood cells and the use of vitamin K. Promotes function of a healthy circulatory system. So we want a healthy circulatory system, and that right there, again, when you have the wonderful antioxidants and you're putting in vitamin E and vitamin C, it's going to hold off those free radicals. And the recommended daily amount, which is 15 milligrams for adults. And so it literally can go between 10 and 15 milligrams, depending, formative years, child, a woman, or, pregnant woman, or, adult male. Let's say between 10 and 15 milligrams. So where are we going to get this vitamin E without supplement form? We don't want to do supplement. If we can get it in naturally, where are we going to get it? And the source that we're going to get it from, we're going to look at it, the same chart that we did last time, where it's going to give you how many milligrams you're going to get in vitamin E per 100 grams. And of course, how much you need of that certain food to get the recommended daily amount, which is between 10 and 15 milligrams. So let's look at this right here. Let's look at this right here. So right here, you have content in milligrams per 100 grams. Now, let me say this, okay? Let me say this. So the corn oil and the sunflower oil, okay, we are not going to use that. We're not using that, all right? That's just a reference. That's a reference. As you notice, everything that you see up top, the number starts to get lower and lower. And then I separated this section right here for a reason. You probably already know why. So let's look at almonds. Let's look at almonds. So you have 100 grams of almonds. This is 1 cup of almonds. You're going to get 24 milligrams of vitamin E. Now, almonds are a wonderful source of vitamin E, but we definitely don't want to put in a cup. We're not eating a cup of almonds, okay? We're going to get our source. We're going to get a little bit of almonds, maybe a handful of almonds, but we're not going to get all of our vitamin E daily intake from almonds because that's too much almonds. That's phytic acid. Phytic acid comes from raw nuts. Almonds is no different. It comes from raw nuts. And when you put too much phytic acid in your system, it actually destroys your body's ability to metabolize the nutrients. So it actually inhibits the metabolizing of certain nutrients in your body. So we want to put a handful, but look at this. If you're going to put 83 grams of almonds, that's going to give you the recommended daily amount of about 10 milligrams of vitamin E. And that's like a 1/3 cup. But again, we don't want to do a 1/3 cup. So we got to also put in consideration if you're making a sandwich and you're using almond butter, that you have to take that in account. You can't say, I'm just going to, use this as a spread and then I'm going to still have my handful of almonds. You have to take into account every nut, whether you're using as a binder, whether you're using as the main ingredient to make your burgers or whatever it may be, or your milk. Always take in consideration all of it that you're using. So let's look at this right here, olive oil. So again, there's certain oils that we want to stay away from. Olive oil it's hard to say that you're going to get pure olive oil. If you're going to get the olive oil, and I did a video on Dr. Grundy's oil, please make sure that you have a dark bottle and it says cold press extra virgin. If you have to use it, make sure you see that label, cold press extra virgin. But look at this. It said, and by the way, if you're going to use it, please don't fry with it, because if you fry with it, you're pretty much turning it into a trans fat. All right, so don't fry it. So look at this. Olive oil, you're going to have, in a cup of olive oil, you're going to get about 12 milligrams of vitamin E. Nuts. Now, we already covered almonds. So when you talk about these nuts, we're talking about like, you got cashews, you got peanuts, you have, macadamia nuts, you have pecans. So that's only 2.6. And look at this, 760. In order to get the recommended daily amount of vitamin E, you need to have 769. That's over 7 cups of nuts just to get the recommended daily amount of vitamin E. That's why you want to just focus on almonds when you're talking about vitamin E. All the other ones, like especially when it comes to like Brazil nuts, macadamia nuts, wonderful source of calcium, but you're not going to get the main source of vitamin E. So all of these nuts have different benefits to them, but it's a wonderful, healthy fat. Let's look at this. Spinach. So you see the numbers start to go down. You got 1.89 milligrams of vitamin E per 1 cup of spinach. So you would have to do 1,058 grams of spinach just to get the recommended daily amount. So again, as you see the chart, the lower the chart goes on down the list, you're going to see that you're going to get less amount of vitamin E, but you're going to have to put the more content. And it also depends on where you're going to get most of your calories. Raspberries, I love raspberries, a wonderful antioxidant. But right here, it may not be your best source of vitamin E, all right? Now, here's where we separate. We separate. We got all these wonderful whole foods, and then we get to the butter, the eggs, the fish, and the meats. All right. As you see right here, you're not going to get just like vitamin C. It's the same thing as vitamin C. You're not going to get much of any type of true value as far as the nutrients, as far as the vitamins and the minerals go when you're talking about these foods. And if you do, you're really going to have to load up on these foods. Look at this, all these numbers, like milk. It says 0.1, 1 cup of milk, 0.1 milligram of vitamin E. And if you want to just, say, I'm going to get all my vitamin E from milk, you're going to have to get 20,000 grams of milk. And that's a little too much. So let's see what the vitamin E is going to do. When we put all of these wonderful nutrients in our body, all this wonderful food in our body, let's see what it's going to do. Right here, here's your cell wall. This is your cell wall. Now let me break down the cell wall for you. Now, just like your skin, so your cell wall has an extracellular layer, which is this right down here, and it also has an intracellular layer. Both of those are just pregnated with fatty acids. Now, each one of these fatty acids, as you see right here, has a hydrophilic head and a hydrophobic tail. So the hydrophilic head and the hydrophobic tail, both of them absorb and retain water. That's why each one of your cells is about 60 to 70% water. Look in between cholesterol. So cholesterol is good, it's great. The problem was putting too much cholesterol over time, and now it filled up the fatty acids and the receptor sites. Every cell has a receptor site, and therefore the receptor sites have clogged up, won't allow the glucose to come in. So let's look at this. Let's talk about lipid peroxidation. So we already know that we have the extracellular and the intracellular walls of the cell. We already know that we have receptor sites. Receptor sites, they're for antioxidants. They're for, your glucose. They're for insulin. They're for everything. Everything that you put into your system, in order to get in the cell, it has receptor sites. And your cell also has to remove waste material in the form of carbon dioxide, of course. So let's look at this right here. It defends lipid peroxidation. So lipid peroxidation, that's the fatty wall right here. Peroxidation means it's going to defend from oxidative stress destroying that wall. So the molecules come in, as you see in this picture right here. The molecules come in, which are those free radicals, and what they're doing is they're damaging and taking away electrons, and then damaging that cell wall to the point where it enters in, and then it damages the mitochondria from within. Once that's damaged, now you're going to see this right here, cell destruction. So what it does is it defends free radical formation, prevents metal ions formation. And remember, we're going to look at that word ions at another time, especially when it comes to radiation, ionizing and non-ionizing, because the number one question is, do cell phones, do they give off any type of radiation? That's coming up. Look at this, defend lipid peroxidation. So we want to defend the cell walls from the free radicals coming in, destroying the cell wall, because once you destroy the structure, everything else crumbles down. So we want to keep the mitochondria intact in order to burn all those wonderful nutrients that we're going to be putting in, especially from those two lists that we looked at, water-soluble vitamin C, fat-soluble vitamin E. In order for them to work, make sure that you're always putting in those wonderful nutrients. Now, along with those, we talked a little bit about this before. We're just going to do this very quickly. Sunflower seeds. Look at all the benefits you're going to get from sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, chia seeds. I'm sorry, I'm just rushing through here. Kiwi fruit, the best source of vitamin C right here. Pomegranates, vitamin C, almonds, vitamin E, and of course lowers the levels of LDL, low density lipoproteins. Spinach, small amounts of vitamin E, but it's going to be good all around. Garlic, antifungal, antimicrobial, antiviral. Here's what if you have pinto beans, homocysteine. Homocysteine is going, when you go against the homocysteine, as it says, decreases the level of homocysteine, is going to help with the arterial walls. So all of these foods, these are things that we can put on top of our salad. We can put the beans on top of your salad and eat it in one sitting and get all of those wonderful phytonutrients. And remember, the fat is going to help absorb those phytochemicals. Look at this right here. Grapes, if you're diabetic, you do want to make sure that you're cautious of the grapes. I know a lot of times the doctors say, or people will say, if you're diabetic, you can't eat fruit anymore. Like that, that's the end of fruit. And that's not true. We're talking about canned fruit. That's the end of canned fruit, true. But you can eat fruit, but very, very low moderation. I'm not telling you to go out and go fruit crazy, but just very low moderation. Strawberries, antioxidants, all of these antioxidants lowers LDL. Lowers LDL. Look at this. Flax seeds, soybeans, barley, all of this. Apples, of course, we talked about apples. You have to get that fiber. So on top of the antioxidants, you need three things. I already told you, three things: fat, protein, and fiber. But remember, you don't want to put too much protein. There's a way that you're going to calculate your protein. You take your body weight, divide it by 2.2. Take your body weight, divide it by 2.2, and then multiply that by 0.8. That is the amount of grams that you need for protein. So take your body weight, divide it by 2.2, and multiply it by 0.8. That is the amount of protein that you need. So right here, guys, thank you for joining. We're going to pick up next time. We're going to be talking about radiation. Radiation. We know about the mother of all diseases. That's the free radicals. We're going to get that vitamin C, get the vitamin E in there in order to stop it from destroying the cells or lipid peroxidation, so we can keep those walls intact, because it's bad enough the body all naturally has cells dying every day, but we don't want to contribute to it. Make sure that you're cautious of your surroundings. If you're around somebody that's smoking, don't think it's going to not bother you. Always be cautious of your surroundings, understanding now that ROS, reactive oxygen species, and the inductors of them, all right? All right, thank you so much. And we will pick up next time from there. Take care.